Hey YouTube, what's going on? Sample Sounds here, bringing you a team analysis video. Like I said in my last one, I was going to do it, and I'm doing it now. So, a little warning to this, you might be bored, because the video itself is just going to be like 6 pictures. That'll change once in a while. It's basically just going to be me analyzing my team and why I did what I did for them. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off with Chandelure because I'm doing it in alphabetical order because that's what my my laptop is in. Anyway, my Chandelure, I did this. I wanted a Chandelure. It's one of my more favorite Pokemon, but its move pool is fairly simple for a Scarf set. It's Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, and Will-O-Wisp. I have Will-O-Wisp in there because I couldn't figure out a 4th move to give it, so before it became Scarfed, it has a Will-O-Wisp, and I just decided to keep it, and it actually works out kind of well. Because if you bring it in on something that needs to be burned, like, I don't know, a Gliscor or a Breloom or something like that, that usually has like Poison Heal or is a physical attacker, you can just be like, yo, I'm Scarfed, Will-O-Wisp, you're burned. Assuming, of course, you hit it. But anyway, it's you know, it's a fairly standard thing. Except Will-O-Wisp is a little non-standard, but whatever. But its EV spread is 252 in special attack and speed, and then 4 in HP. It has a 31 HP IV, so the 4 will give it a odd number, I believe it does, if I'm not mistaken. That or it's actually even. I'm not entirely sure. Not exactly looking at my 3DS for the stats and whatnot, but yeah, this set actually outspeeds quite a bit of Pokemon. Like, if you saw in my battle against Robotnik is Sexy, he had a Scarf Diggersby, and it outspeeds by 1 point, because it would outspeed by 2, but I have a 30 speed IV, so it doesn't quite outspeed, or it's not quite perfect. But I like the Choice Scarf Timid set because it does outspeed quite a bit of Pokemon, and it's still pretty powerful. And what is interesting about my Chandelure is that it's got the Infiltrator ability. I think that before it evolved, it actually had Flash Fire, but I don't know what happened. Or I thought it had Flash Fire, I'm not sure. But I actually like the Infiltrator ability because it does go through Substitute. And things for like Gliscor, it's really good to hit through that Substitute and kill or faint the Pokemon. But yeah. Anyway, Chandelure also has 5 weaknesses. You can see on your screen. It's Dark, Ghost, Ground, Rock, and Water. Those are actually fairly common types. So I mean, if you're not looking for weaknesses, don't use Chandelure, but I quite like it, so you know. Let's go ahead and get on to the next Pokemon, which is going to be my Heracross, well, Mega Heracross. This set utilizes Mega Heracross's ability of Skill Link, which I have Bullet Seed, Pin Missile, and Arm Thrust, which are 2 to 5 hit moves. But with Skill Link, it'll hit all 5 times, assuming you actually hit. And I need to pause. And we are back. So, yeah, sorry about that. It'll obviously be a little bit less time for you than it was for me. But anyway, to utilize Mega Heracross's Skill Link, you can also have Rock Blast. It just depends on if you want to hit flying types or the water types with Bullet Seed or Rock Blast. But I also have Swords Dance just in case I can get set up. I could put Rock Blast and just have it a 4 attack moveset. Yeah. But I prefer having Swords Dance and Bullet Seed. and then the 2 stab moves of Pin Missile and Arm Thrust. But it's all your choice because, you know. But yeah, so it's a EV spread's fairly simple. 252 attack and speed, and then 4 in HP. The ability, however, you probably want Moxie over Swarm. This was actually given to me, or Wonder Traded. Most of my Pokemon are actually Wonder Trade Pokemon, except for the Chandelure, which I should probably rename because I don't know. But yeah, Wonder Traded Pokemon. Yeah. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the nature. You can either do Adamant or Jolly. The one that I was given was Adamant. I'd probably run Jolly if I felt like breeding it, and because I kind of like Jolly a little bit more than Adamant, because Heracross isn't the fastest Pokemon around, and having that little bit of extra speed will help a little bit more. That's really all there is to say, other than its weaknesses of Psychic, Flying, Fire, and Fairy, which again are fairly common types, especially the Fairy. This set really doesn't deal with fairies very well. I mean, you could try and get rid of it with Bullet Seed, but there's not that great of a chance of doing that. And it's also 4 times weak to flying, so I mean, if you're really worried about that, don't run Mega Heracross or run Rock Blast on it and hope that you outspeed. So, but if it's a Talonflame, you're gonna die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And that's basically it for Heracross and Mega Heracross. Doesn't really have much to say about it, but it works well. And yeah. Next is my Klefki. This is a support Klefki, full support Klefki. It's not that Thunderwave swagger crap thing that a lot of people like to run, because a lot of people like to use a Thunderwave swagger, foul play, and then one other move. They like to use that set. However, I like to do a Thunderwave Spikes, Light Screen, and Reflect set with leftovers as its move, or as its item. Because really, if you need a defensive wall, Klefki is really good for that. Give it max defense, max HP, and then like 4 special defense like I do. Because it doesn't really need the attacks, special attack or speed, because it has Prankster. It's obviously going to go first with any of these moves. The only problem with this Klefki is Taunt from like a Prankster Sableye. That basically destroys Klefki, and yeah. But for my nature, I chose Bold because I did want a physical wall on this team, and Klefki fits that bill. Its defense is really good, and put up a Reflect, and it's basically good to go. This Klefki is actually, or my Klefki is actually a Japanese Klefki that was Wonder Traded. Like I said, I get a lot of Pokemon through Wonder Trade, and I Wonder Trade a lot. So I mean, yeah. But I mean, I'll probably breed it or something. I don't know. But Klefki only has 2 weaknesses, and that's Fire and Ground, which are fairly common. But I mean, it doesn't really mind. Because it's pretty defensive, and most fire and ground attacks are physical, with the exception of like Flamethrower and Fire Blast. But get up a Light Screen, you're good. So beyond that, there's really not much to say about Klefki. It's just a supporter, unless you want to be really annoying and do the Thunderwave Swagger foul play thing, which I don't recommend doing. And I'll be showing you a video and talking about it later on, because there's one of my friends on my 3DS actually doesn't like Klefki and has forfeited like 2 or 3 times against me because their Dragonite got Thunderwave twice, once burning the Lumberry and then getting paralyzed, and for some reason that makes him forfeit. I don't know why, but whatever. That's really all there is about Klefki. Let's go on to the next one, which is Noivern. My Noivern is a Specs Noivern, like most are actually. Noivern is one of the more frailer 6th gen Pokemon. It does hit very, very hard, and it's very fast. So, I mean, I run a timid max speed, max special attack, and then 4 HP Noivern with Draco Meteor, Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, and Hurricane. And then, obviously, like I said, choice specs. And I was lucky enough to have an Infiltrator Noibat, I guess, sent to me. And I actually have another one, which is Modest, but I probably won't be training that one up. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? I mean, really, Noivern is fairly good. Some other things that you could do with it, you could do a switcheroo set. Don't really know what all you could do with that, though, because I don't think Noivern really gets a setup move. Might get Calm Mind, I'm not entirely sure, but either way, this set is your best bet for a Noivern Specs 4 attack set. Because it's meant to hit hard and then basically get out of there. Also, you could run U-turn on it, but I don't really prefer that. That's just me, though. You could, though. I don't really know what you'd get rid of. Maybe Shadow Ball. Not many Noiverns, actually, that I see run Shadow Ball. So, but yeah, its weaknesses are Rock, Ice, Fairy, and Dragon. It's quad weak to Ice, like most dragons are. And, I mean, that's not that great for it. So, I mean, you know. Noivern really is a really decent Pokemon. I mean, it doesn't really get outclassed by the other dragons. I mean, it could get outclassed by Dragonite because Dragonite's physical, or it could be a little bit special, but that's not really that common. So, I mean, there's not much really to say about Noivern. It's just your normal dragon. Well, technically flying dragon, but it's your normal special attacking dragon. So, yeah, let's go on to the next one, which is Togekiss. And this is my favorite Pokemon on this team. Well, for this team, I guess, because I like Heracross more than I do Togekiss. But for this team, I think I have the wrong nature on this. But I think my actual Togekiss is Modest, so you can ignore its nature on this screen. But anyway, my Togekiss is actually fairly interesting because it is a defensive and specially defensive wall, but it's also a special attacker, and its moveset is 4 attacks because of the Assault Vest that I have on it. Its moveset is really good because Dazzling Gleam, Flamethrower, Psyshock, and Air Slash are really good coverage. It hits a lot of Pokemon for super effective, and Flamethrower and Psyshock covers its weaknesses of Steel and Steel and Poison, not Psychic, which is really good. I mean, Psyshock's not the best attack, or at least I don't think it is, but it does hit like Blissey for really good damage. And the only problem is that I don't get any recovery, so I mean I would need a Wish Passer, but I don't have one, so kind of lacking in that area. But as for my EV spread, I have 252 defense, 252 special attack, and 4 HP. It is a defensive wall because Togekiss takes those physical hits like crazy. Like, if my Togekiss were actually bold, it probably would well, I don't think it actually takes a choice banded Iron Head from Genesect. It can take a Iron Head, though, from Genesect and from Aegislash, I'm pretty sure. So there's that. And I was lucky enough to get a Togepi with Serene Grace, which does come in handy with Flamethrower with that 20% chance to burn, and Air Slash with I think it's normally 30%, so it becomes 60% chance to flinch, and that's really good. Yeah, Togekiss is a really good Pokemon, mainly for walling, and whatnot. So I mean, if you like it, you can obviously use it and whatnot. As for its weaknesses, its weaknesses are fairly common, like most are. That's weird. But anyway, it's got steel because of its fairy typing now, and it also has rock and poison, ice, and electric. It is a flying type, so I mean it has those flying, or the weaknesses that flying guys do, and then the fairy, and yeah, it's actually a really good Pokemon though, because I mean it can take a hit and then deal some damage with any of its 4 attacks. It's actually saved my butt a few times. The surprise factor is really high, so I mean, if you get it in on like a steel type like Ferrothorn, you're gonna be good. And then my last Pokemon, I believe, is Tyrantrum. There is a better set than the one that I use, because Impish set for Tyrantrum is much better than my Adamant. Eventually I'll be making a Adamant choice banded Tyrantrum, which will be pretty awesome. Just wait for that. And anyway, my set is a Stealth Rock, Crunch, Dragon Claw, and Earthquake. I don't really know why I chose this set. I mean, I wanted Stealth Rocks, and I mean the 3 attacks were just there. Earthquake with Soft Sand is actually really good for some reason. I don't really know why, but it is. Soft Sand boosts, I believe, like 20% for ground type moves, and that helps out the Earthquake, giving a pseudo stab, and that's pretty good. As for its EV spread, it's more of a bulky attacking one. I mean, there's obviously better sets than the one that I use. I just chose this. I don't know why, really. It does get outsped by quite a few things, so I mean, but it does take a hit every now and again, and then it can retaliate and possibly revenge kill, or well, not revenge kill, because you have to be fast for that. But I mean, like, it can take a hit and then do quite a bit of damage, and then, you know, die after hopefully getting Stealth Rocks up. But as for its weaknesses, it has 6 weaknesses, which is not that great. But Tyrantrum is still a pretty good Pokemon, and its weaknesses are Ice, Dragon, Fairy, Fighting, Steel, and Ground. So, I mean, those are quite the weaknesses there. Really, there's not much really to say about Tyrantrum. It's a really good Pokemon. The one that I'll be doing later that has a choice band will be like a Crunch, Fire Fang, Thunder Fang, Ice Fang, Poison Fang, stuff like that, to utilize his Strong Jaw ability. I mean, if you give it that choice band, it'll be like having Stab on all of that stuff. Sadly, no Rock type or Dragon type attacks can be utilized by Strong Jaw, which really sucks, but it is what it is. So, yeah. That is the last Pokemon. Really, looking at my team, it's kind of not balanced that well, because I mean, I've got 3 Pokemon weak to ground, 2 or 3 Pokemon weak to ice, and it's not that balanced of a team, but it has worked out, as you've seen in my videos. Surprisingly, this team does work well. All the Pokemon can cover for each other. I've got 2 fairies on the team, 2 dragons, a bug fighting, of all things, and then Fire Ghost, which is really good because spin blocking, well, yeah, spin blocking, because I do have a whole bunch of hazards on here, and I mean, really, this team is just meant to be more offensive than anything, but as you can tell, that it's a little bit of defense. So really, the team is really good. I like it. I like it a lot. For my first Wi-Fi team, it was really good. And I didn't lose that often. I mean, I lost to really good players like Cheese Boy, and I somehow won against Robotnik is Sexy, which is pretty awesome. I'm glad I got to battle those guys with this team, and my next team I don't know. I still don't know how to feel about my next team. It'll be interesting to see how it fares in Wi-Fi battles. The concept is pretty good, but the execution might be a little bit bad. We'll find out. But yeah, that's the end of this video. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and leave them down below. And if you like me and want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. It's all your choice. And until later, peace out.